Hello and welcome to this episode, this ninth episode now for the ninth season of this career with Bristol Rovers. Very busy transfer window, very busy indeed, as we look to overcome last year's Championship playoff final failure and win promotion to the Premier League. Now, let's take you through the transfer starting back at the beginning of the summer. So, a couple of players left on a free. So, Lee Beadle-Pipe was a young defender that went to Southampton. I would have liked to keep him, but he didn't want to sign. And Edwards was an experienced left back who we were hoping to move on anyway. Fairly early on, Elliot Miles, who was one of our better players last year, Oxford, who picked us to promotion to the Premier League, offered us £5.5 million. I told him he could go if we received that offer, and so he went. Vasconcelos was a player that didn't really feature that much, central midfielder, so to move him on for £1 million I was more than happy with. And then a few players out on loan: Osman, Whaley, Fenty, Holdo, Roos. Then the big transfers. Purdy was another one who went out on loan, as was Reynolds. So, first of all, I let Okonkwo go. You'll see that we replaced him sufficiently to allow him to move on for $675,000. And then two massive moves. Leonard Carl for a massive profit. I had to take $16.25 million from Wolfsburg. And John Orejuela was a player who could play as a holding midfielder, could play as a striker. He hasn't really got the tackling ability to play as a holding midfielder. We don't have an attacking midfielder in the squad, so he wasn't really featuring that much. And so when I received a £9.5 million offer from Villa, we couldn't really turn it down. With the state of the club, we had almost no money. What I was able to do was use £5 million of that on Alexis Grosso, who was someone I was looking at all the way through last season. He hasn't quite come in as good as I hoped he would based on the scouting we did. And again, you can see he's another holding midfielder who can't tackle and can't mark. But he's playing as a central midfielder and has started really well, including a hat-trick from that central midfield spot in one of the first couple of games of the season. I'll show you that in a second. And then lots of free transfers. Kyle Haverty, in fact, let me sort them by date. So a few players that have come in to loan out. Sylvain Dubost has come in, and then he's sat in the academy at the moment. Woody Williamson has come in as our first choice goalkeeper and has improved already since then, and he has had a couple of really standout games. He's got 5 caps for the Scots as well. Rak Sakai, a player that you probably know from real life at Palace, someone who can play all the way across the front line, came in on a free from Benfica and has come off the bench more so. Then a couple of bigger moves. Victor Moreno came in, I think he came in from quite a high level club, Villarreal, which is a sign of the kind of players we're recruiting. So he has come in to play on the left and has started well, as you can see, 3 goals in 5 games. Davide Emilia has come in on loan to be our left back and is playing regularly and has started well. Seve Het is a young player that we wanted to loan out, couldn't find any loans, so he is just a backup at the moment. Koto Nakamura was a big signing. I think it was PSG that he was at. Yeah, PSG, although on loan to Burnley last year. So he has come in and is playing regularly. Obviously, I showed you Grosso a minute ago. And then Kyle Haverty is a young goalkeeper that we're trying to loan out, but probably will just be a backup. I don't think there were any moves at the end of last year. A couple. Largely Ram Azani is someone that's come in as a backup. Came in for free, also for 40k. I have seen if anyone else wanted to take him since then, but no one was interested. And then Torrent Burnett, a young player who again has gone into the Academy of Scott from Manchester United. And at the end of last season, we let go. Ridgen has gone out on loan. Baresi's gone out on loan again. He's someone that hopefully will be ready to play first team football for us in the near future. He is playing regularly for Australia, but he isn't quite at the level, if we look at star rating, yet to feature regularly, although a lot of potential. So Baresi is definitely one to keep an eye on. And then the other outgoing was Bade Luca, who I let go. He was the player that could play at right back or left back. Now, what that has meant, if I take you to the fixture schedule, is what I thought was very good recruitment was absolutely excellent recruitment. After a really good pre-season, including a 2-2 draw with Monaco, we started the season on fire, put 5 past Wolves, put 3 past Luton at Luton, and then 4 past Leeds. Leeds and Wolves being two of the better teams in this division. Bournemouth we overcame in the second round of the Carabao Cup, who are currently a mid-table Premier League team, and if you look at the state of their team, that was quite some victory. We did struggle a little bit to get past Colchester. I did put out the reserves for that. We won on penalties, and then we overcame a pretty much full-strength Manchester City team on penalties as well, which means if I take to the Championship table, it's almost the best possible start. That slight slip up at Leicester was a bit of a shame. We did score late, but did dominate that game, so I can't be too critical of that. And the other thing that is probably worth showing you is the Carabao Cup, the League Cup. We have Liverpool away in what should hopefully be a pretty big money. It's been although being in the fourth round, I guess we cut back our chances having beaten Man City and Bournemouth to get as far as we have. So I'm thrilled really with the start of the season. This has got to be the year, the way that we've started, the strength of the squad. This has got to be the year that we win promotion to the Premier League after a few seasons of not quite getting there. The current team I will show you now. Let's make sure everyone's in their best possible role. I'm not sure I want a line holding goalkeeper, so we'll stick with that. So Williamson in goal. We've got a few choices at right back. Abbott is playing there at the moment, but Grogan is gradually improving, and we've got Assignon on the bench as well. Although I was trying to move Assignon on, he has started the season there, so that Abbott can be the backup at centre back. But the back four has been exceptional. The midfield is definitely something that we could look to improve. Grosso has been playing rather than Mukasa, and it's been Nakamura that's been the more attacking there. So that's how we've been going. Devine and Beardmore is kind of like for like. Devine obviously a little bit older, Beardmore's got a bit more potential, so hopefully Beardmore will take that place, and I've just realised he's playing fairly regularly now for Northern Ireland. Seth Ferdinand has had an exceptional start to the season, as has Moreno, and then Ahori has taken the place up front. Although I think we will have him like that's moving forward. In fact, what I will do is just very quickly take you back to that fixture schedule to show you a bit of a review of some of those massive wins. The Wolves game was a Seth Ferdinand hat-trick, 2 of those really early. Against Luton, it was Ahori that got 2, and then the really impressive one was the Grosso 13-minute hat-trick from the centre of midfield against Leeds. So that's where we are. I'll be back at the end of the January window, and hopefully this is our season. Hello, so I have brought you back to the media prediction screen at the end of the January window. Just show you that while we were a little bit lower down this table at the beginning of the season, the media still have us in 13th, and we don't have anyone in the Dream 11. However, if I take you to the actual Championship table, we are making a bit of a mockery of the league. Only 2 defeats, and I think they both came in games where we were down to 10 men. We have a goal difference that's almost twice as high as anyone else. We're 17 points clear, and we really couldn't ask for any more at this stage in the season. If I take you to the fixture schedule, obviously we had a really good start and that Carabao Cup run where we were eventually defeated on penalties to Liverpool. And other than a 1-0 defeat to Wrexham and frustratingly a 2-0 defeat at City, who we still haven't actually beaten in this save, I don't think. We are absolutely flying. In quite a few of these games we dropped points. We had Byfield sent off when we drew with Burnley. I think we also had a man sent off in one of the other losses as well, which demonstrates that actually... Was it Wrexham? Yeah, had Moreno sent off early against Wrexham. So if we keep 11 men on the pitch, there's very few teams that can live with us. So it's all going really well. If I take you to the transfer the transfer history, we have been very busy. Again, I will sort it by date. There have been a huge amount of significant outgoings. Ramzani never really featured for us, played poorly, so we moved him over 19,000. And then a few players out on loan. Waywell, Biscard, who's come through the academy and looks like a real prospect at right back. Ramirez is one we'll probably try and move on permanently, and then as is Moreno. But Green, Taylor, Kawa, who came in on a free, and Het, who came in at the end of that the summer window on a free as well, have both gone out on loan. So in terms of incomings, there were three free agents. So Kawa has come in and then gone out on loan to Blackburn. Ibrahim Drame is a left-sided defender or attacking midfielder that came on a free, as did Gary McGrath. McGrath looks like one that actually could be useful and has a bit of potential as well. Drame also and Kawa, I've brought them in because they are players that filled gaps, so we could loan out young players to help them develop who weren't playing, and they have a bit of potential. So at the end of the season, we could have a look and see what we think. Kawa, it looks like, was at Wimbledon and West Ham before we picked him up. Drame has come from Blackburn, where he played a lot of games after joining from Villarreal, and then McGrath has come from Everton, where he barely played. But has he played? Yes, he had a season out on loan with Stockport a few years ago. So all useful players. We're absolutely cruising. We'll get the title wrapped up. We'll give some of the young players a go, and hopefully the next time you hear from me, we will be a Premier League team. Hello and welcome to the final day of the season, where our biggest win, a 6-0 triumph at Sheffield United, not only, we were already title winners, we were already promoted, but it also means we take Reading's record of the most points in the Championship season, and things have finished basically as well as they possibly could have done. We've absolutely walked the league. I think we were expecting that, really, given how well we were doing at the halfway mark. So yeah, we're really pleased. Couldn't have hoped for much more than that, really. We've got quite a big summer transfer window ahead, where we look to try and work out who's going to be good enough to stay with us, who we're going to try and move on. We've got a few players out of contract, which is only really a good thing, because a lot of those are players that aren't really at Premier League level. But the next episode you see will be our first season in the Premier League. Once this is finished loading, I will take you to a bit of a review of the season. So obviously a little bit of disappointment in the Cups, but they're definitely not as important as promotion of the Premier League was. We finished with 99 goals. The 6 on the final day, not quite enough to take us to treble figures. Not particularly a heavy possession holding team either. We were kind of, I think, high 50s or mid 50s for that, not as high as some of the other teams in the division. Fewest conceded and most goals, though, is always definitely a good place to be. As for individual player stats, we didn't have anyone that played all 46. We had a couple of goalkeeper injuries, and it was Junaid Byfield's 43 that was our leading appearance maker. I imagine he was also the leading starts, with 41. Games won, as you'd expect, that's us. Anything else interesting to show you? Player of the match. Gerald Roberts was kind of the standout, I guess. Not particularly a high distance covering team. Average rating, Byfield, Grosso, Feeney, so quite good defensively, as you saw previously. Byfield has certainly done well and hopefully will be good enough to play in the Premier League. I might have a look at Harvey Higgins. I don't think Leeds have come up with us, although I will check that. But yeah, really good. A really impressive performance. I will also take you to the squad page so you can have a look at some of this data. If I go to, I've done this for a while, was it selection info? Yes. So average rating, Woko was an interesting late signing. He ended up getting 5 games. Hopefully that was enough for him to take a winner's medal. Just to come in and be an option as a holding midfielder off the bench. But yeah, Byfield, Feeney, Grosso, Woodman, Assignon, who we may let go of as he is 32, but you can see how solid we were defensively. Davide Mia is someone who I might also have a look at whether we could make that permanent as well. Goals, Hori as our main centre forward scored 20, but not a hugely high match rating. Hopefully him and Roberts have still got some growth to do as we move into the Premier League. and Ferdinand with plenty of assists. It was that front three really of Rory, Roberts and Ferdinand. Although if I show you, we did, after a bit of a run of not so great form in about February time, or might be slightly later, maybe March, we did switch to a 4-2-3-1. In fact, I can show you that as well. We had a run of slightly poor performances here after we were knocked out of the FA Cup. Another defeat to City we couldn't beat. I don't really understand why, but we found them a real nightmare. In fact, just the one win against them. But yeah, turned it around. A couple of 0-0 draws once we knew we'd already won the title. But we are in the Premier League, so a big summer transfer window ahead, and I will be back for the next episode soon, where we take our 10th season and our first in the top flight. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, please do subscribe and leave a like, and I'll have the next episode up for you soon.